Hello, little birds, and welcome to another special indoor edition of Campfire Stories. Today, we explore a tale from New York State. It is still told today in Albany. The tale of the 50-cent piece. Long ago, a husband and wife were on a very long journey. They had ridden in their rickety old carriage for many, many miles. And as the sun began to dip down below the horizon, they knew they were in trouble. Although they were a long way from their destination, they would not be able to travel in the dark. And besides that, their horse was tired, and their bottoms were sore from the bumpy road. And so it would be time soon to stop. But where? There were no inns or hostels, and no towns to speak of either. And so they furrowed their brows and worried for their safety. And just as they were feeling like there would be no solution, the husband noticed a light in the distance. And as they came up over the rise, they realized it was coming from a very quaint cottage with rosy light in the windows. There was even a stable there for their horse. Now, it was quite late in the evening, and it was possible that the owners had gone to bed, but there was still light in the window. So they boldly knocked on the door. And to their surprise, a kindly old couple answered. They were in their night dresses, so it was clear that they were on their way to bed. Nevertheless, they welcomed the husband and wife with open arms. They took care of their horse. They gave them food and a mat to sleep on. And the young couple were so grateful that they begged the old couple to accept some recompense, some money for their kind gestures. But the older couple adamantly refused and said that their company was worth more than any silver. And so everyone went to bed, and they had a lovely night of sleep. Early the next morning, the young couple rose even before the sun. They quickly dressed, and because they couldn't let the old couple go without some payment for their kindness, they left a beautiful, shiny 50-cent piece right on the kitchen table, then tiptoed out the door, hitched up their horse, and began their journey once again. It was some hours before they were finally hungry enough to break their fast, and by that time they had made it to Spiegeltown, their destination for that day. They went to a tavern and ordered some repast, and as they ate their breakfast, they told the tavern keeper of their experiences that evening, about the old couple and the quaint cottage, and and how deeply thankful they were for the human kindness they'd been shown. But they noticed that the tavern keeper had grown pale as they told their tale. And they asked him, "What's wrong?" And the tavern keeper said, "Where did you say that old cabin was?" And so they told him once again, a few hours outside of town. And the tavern keeper shook his head vehemently and he said, "Oh no, that can't be right. Well, that old cabin had burned down years ago. Nobody's lived there for a very long time. The old couple that did live there, well, they're long dead, burnt up in the fire just like the cabin." And the old couple said, "No, that couldn't possibly be." And they argued back and forth until finally the husband of the young couple said, "No, you're wrong. We'll prove it to you. We'll take you there right now." And the tavern keeper, he was having a slow morning, so he said, "Fine, let's go." And the three of them went right down, hitched up their horse, and took that several hours' journey all the way back to the cabin. But the young couple was astonished by what they saw. The quaint cabin was barely a ruin. Nothing remained but a burnt frame where just the night before that kindly couple had given them shelter for the night. The wife wandered the ruins, looking at this and that, while the husband scratched his head and said, I must have missed the track. This can't be the right cabin." But before he could finish what he was saying, he heard his wife emit a blood-curdling scream, and she fainted. The husband barely got there in time to catch her before she hit the charred remains of the earth. And as the husband tried to fan her and help her to recover, he saw what it was that had frightened her so. Sitting in the rubble, in what must have once been the kitchen of the cabin, was a beautiful, shining 50-cent piece. Thank you for joining me at the campfire, little birds. I am Tish Raven, and I bid you good nightmares.